Chosen one, you are not here by accident, and you are not hearing this by chance. This moment was arranged by heaven with precision, aligned by perfect spiritual timing, and carried to you as a divine appointment. What is unfolding now is not random movement. It is confirmation that you are standing at the edge of a supernatural shift, prepared long before you were aware of it. Chosen one, wealth is approaching your life not as excess, but as restoration, authority, and alignment. Heaven has observed your restraint, counted your silent endurance, and weighed the seasons where you were overlooked yet remained faithful. Just as it is written in Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3, the vision waits for its appointed time, and now that time is drawing near. This is a threshold moment, a crossing from preparation into elevation, from obscurity into stewardship. Anointed one, understand this clearly. When heaven releases increase, it does not do so casually. Sudden elevation carries weight, and the first measure is not how much arrives, but how it is carried. This is why silence is being restored to you as protection, not punishment. What God is releasing is too valuable to be exposed too early, too sacred to be handled loudly. Chosen one, not every reminder arrives as a voice or an explanation. Some are quiet, steady, and familiar, waiting to be returned to when strength wavers. What has been prepared remains close, resting exactly where it belongs. Chosen one, this is not just a continuation of what you heard. This is where the weight of the message begins to settle into your spirit. Heaven is not only announcing that wealth is approaching, heaven is revealing how it must be carried. Many pray for increase, but few are prepared for the silence that must surround it. I have learned this through experience, not theory. There are seasons where God answers your prayers quietly, because noise would ruin what He is releasing. Anointed one, understand this clearly. When heaven prepares to elevate you, it does not change your circumstances first. It changes your awareness. You begin to notice things you once ignored. Conversations feel heavier. Certain people feel closer, not in warmth, but in expectation. This is how discernment awakens. When my own season began to shift, nothing dramatic happened outwardly at first. No announcements, no applause. But inwardly, I felt a pull to step back, to listen more, to speak less. At the time, I did not understand it. Later, I realized it was protection. Chosen one. Sudden wealth does not simply increase comfort, it increases exposure. It magnifies everything already present. If your spirit is grounded, abundance becomes a tool. If it is unsettled, abundance becomes pressure. I have watched people step into provision too quickly and lose themselves trying to manage attention. They confused visibility with validation and paid for it with peace. That is why heaven teaches silence before celebration. Anointed one, there is a temptation that comes when you have been overlooked for a long time, a quiet urge to finally be seen, to explain yourself, to show proof. I felt that urge deeply. After years of being dismissed, there is a part of you that wants to say, "Look at me now." But wisdom taught me something painful and true. The loudest season often arrives just before the greatest loss. Silence is not weakness. Silence is restraint. And restraint is strength. Chosen one. There are moments when God hides you, not because you are unworthy, but because what you carry is valuable. Seeds do not grow on the surface, they grow underground. Wealth grows the same way, in privacy, in obscurity, in spaces where it cannot be pulled at by unqualified hands. I learned this when generosity outpaced discernment. I gave too quickly, too openly, and too emotionally. My intentions were pure, but my boundaries were immature. The cost was not only financial, it was relational. Peace suffered, purpose blurred. Anointed one, hear this gently. When heaven elevates you, it does not send a broadcast to everyone you know. It sends instruction to your spirit. The moment increase touches your life, new eyes begin to watch you. Some with curiosity, some with expectation, some with quiet resentment. Money does not change people, it reveals them. I had to accept that smiles can turn into entitlement when people believe they deserve access to what God gave you. Chosen one. This is why privacy becomes sacred ground. Not secrecy rooted in fear, but discretion rooted in clarity. There are seasons where God says, tell no one. Even miracles were followed by silence before revelation. Not every blessing is meant to be explained. Silence protects timing. Silence protects relationships. Silence protects your mind from voices that were never qualified to guide you. Anointed one, when people sense access, they come with more than needs. They come with plans, opinions, pressure, and expectations. Some believe your resources belong to the group because they remember you from before. Others minimize your discipline and call it luck. If you are not anchored, guilt begins to guide your decisions. I learned the hard way that helping does not always mean giving money. Sometimes helping means saying no and allowing growth to happen. That no felt cruel at first. Later, it felt like peace. Chosen one. Another trap appears when wealth removes urgency. When survival ends, boredom creeps in quietly. And boredom with money is dangerous. I watched people rush into investments they did not understand and lifestyles they could not sustain, not because they were foolish, but because they lost rhythm. Work is not just income, it is structure, it is grounding. Without it, spending becomes entertainment and decisions become impulsive. Anointed one, wisdom taught me to keep parts of life normal even when provision was not. Stability gives your spirit time to adjust. There is a reason the vision waits for its appointed time, as written in Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3. Wealth is not just addition, it is environmental change, and environments require adaptation. Those who rush to change everything at once often destabilize themselves without realizing it. Chosen one, debt is another silent thief. I remember thinking once increase arrived, old obligations would no longer matter. But unresolved weight drains clarity. Clearing it was not fear, it was freedom. Once that weight lifted, decisions became calmer and peace returned. This is one of the most overlooked acts of wisdom. Anointed one, abundance is not meant to be consumed, it is meant to be stewarded. Never destroy the source to enjoy the outcome. True freedom is not luxury, it is choice. It is owning your time, your energy, your peace. I reached a moment where I realized money was never about things. It was about alignment. Chosen one. You were trained in lack so abundance would not corrupt you. You were overlooked so applause would not own you. You learned restraint before you ever touched increase. And now you are standing at a threshold. What is coming requires maturity, not noise. Discernment, not announcement. Stillness, not spectacle. This is not the season to prove anything. Chosen one. Silence is not being asked of you because you are fragile. It is being restored to you because you are becoming powerful. There is a difference, and heaven knows it. When wealth begins to approach your life, the first shift is not external, it is internal. Your perception sharpens, your tolerance for noise lowers. You begin to sense when conversations carry weight and when they drain it. This is not distance, this is discernment coming online. I remember the first season when my circumstances began to change. Nothing dramatic happened on the surface. No announcements, no sudden displays. But inside, something became quieter. I noticed how often I used to explain myself out of habit. How often I spoke to be understood instead of being aligned. And the moment increase came closer, those habits felt heavy. Silence started to feel like relief instead of restraint. That was the first sign that heaven was recalibrating me for what was coming. Anointed one, understand this clearly. Sudden increase carries spiritual weight. It amplifies what already exists within you. If there is confusion, it grows louder. If there is insecurity, it surfaces faster. But if there is wisdom, it begins to speak with authority. This is why heaven does not rush the process. As it is written in Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3, the vision waits for its appointed time. Waiting is not delay, it is protection. Chosen one. When wealth comes near, attention follows. Some attention is harmless curiosity, some carries expectation, and some hides quiet resentment. Money does not change people, it reveals them. I learned this the hard way. Smiles that once felt supportive can quietly turn into entitlement when people believe you now owe them access. Silence becomes sacred ground in that season. Not secrecy rooted in fear, but discretion rooted in clarity. There are seasons when God says, "Tell no one." Even miracles were often followed by silence before they were revealed. Not every blessing is meant to be public. Not every increase is meant to be explained. Silence protects timing. It protects relationships. It protects your mind from being pulled in 100 directions by voices that were never qualified to guide you. I have watched people lose peace not because they lacked money, but because they gave too much access too quickly. Anointed one, when people sense that you have resources, they rarely come with needs alone. They arrive with ideas, expectations, pressure, and plans they want you to carry. Some will believe your success belongs to the group because they remember you from before. Others will minimize your discipline and call it luck. If you are not anchored, you will begin making decisions from guilt instead of guidance. That is where silence becomes armor. I had to learn that helping does not always mean handing over money. Sometimes helping is saying no and allowing people to grow. At first, that felt harsh. I worried I was becoming cold. But over time, I realized boundaries preserved more peace than generosity ever could when it lacked discernment. Boundaries are not rejection, they are protection for both sides. Chosen one. Another test appears when wealth removes urgency from your life. When survival pressure fades, boredom can creep in quietly. And boredom with money is dangerous. I have watched people rush into businesses they did not understand, investments they did not research, and lifestyles they could not sustain. Not because they were foolish, but because they lost structure. Work is not just about income, it is about rhythm, grounding, and purpose. Keeping parts of your life steady gives your spirit time to adjust to increase. Wealth is not just an addition, it is a change in environment, and environments require adaptation. Those who try to transform everything at once often destabilize themselves without realizing it. Silence slows you down just enough to choose correctly instead of reactively. There is also wisdom in addressing old obligations with clarity. Debt does not disappear simply because money arrives. Clearing it is not fear-based, it is freedom. Paying it off removes weight from your decisions and quiets the mind. It is one of the most overlooked acts of stewardship. When abundance comes, it is not meant to be consumed. It is meant to be managed with intention. Anointed one, true freedom is not luxury, it is choice. It is waking up without being forced into environments that drain your spirit. I reached a moment where I realized money was never about owning more things. It was about owning my time, my energy, and my peace. That realization changed how I moved. Patience became more valuable than visibility. Structure became more important than celebration. Chosen one. You were trained in lack so abundance would not corrupt you. You were overlooked so applause would not addict you. You learned restraint long before you ever touched increase. That training was not accidental, it was preparation. Now you stand at a threshold where maturity matters more than noise, and discernment matters more than announcement. This is not the season to prove anything, it is the season to protect everything. When heaven elevates you, it does not broadcast it to your entire circle. It instructs your spirit first. That instruction often sounds like stillness. It feels like a pull to observe instead of explain. That is not fear. That is wisdom waking up. Silence will help you notice patterns you once ignored. It will show you where energy leaks and where alignment flows. It will reveal who respects your boundaries and who resists them. This is filtration, not punishment. When you speak less, people reveal more. And that clarity is priceless as wealth approaches your life. Anointed one, what is coming requires stewardship, not excitement. It requires composure, not performance. Heaven is not impressed by speed, it honors readiness. As this season unfolds, let stillness be your companion. Let discernment guide your words. Let wisdom decide who gets access and who remains at a distance. You are not withdrawing from love. You are positioning yourself for longevity. Silence is not hiding your blessing. It is how you keep it. When you are ready, we will continue deeper. Chosen one. As wealth draws nearer, another layer of truth begins to surface. One that many are unprepared for because it challenges how success has always been measured. Until now, life trained you to respond quickly, to explain yourself, to justify your choices. If something went wrong, you had to defend your intentions. If something went right, you had to prove it was deserved. Silence was never an option in survival. But in this season, silence becomes your declaration. Anointed one, there is a maturity that forms when you stop trying to be understood by everyone. Understanding is not alignment. Many will never understand your path because they were never meant to walk it. Wealth does not fix this, it magnifies it. The more you elevate, the smaller certain conversations will feel. Silence saves you from shrinking yourself to fit spaces that no longer match your growth. I noticed this when my own capacity began to expand. Old triggers tried to resurface. Comments that once wounded me tried to regain power. People brought up past mistakes, seasons of lack, old identities. Not because they were cruel, but because my evolution made them uncomfortable. Every response tempted me to explain. Every explanation tempted me to step backward. Silence disarmed those moments. It denied them the reaction they were seeking. Over time, the pull to engage faded and peace replaced it. Chosen one, responding to everything keeps you tied to versions of yourself you have already outgrown. Every defense drains energy that could be invested forward. Silence may feel unnatural at first. It can feel like surrender, but in time, you see its power. Absence from unnecessary debates creates room for clarity, progress, and stability. Authority does not need to argue, it is recognized. Anointed one, wealth invites you to redefine generosity. True generosity is not impulsive, it is intentional. It is not driven by guilt, nostalgia, or emotion. It is guided by wisdom. Silence gives you space to discern when to give how to give, and why you are giving. It protects you from becoming a source of dependency instead of empowerment. There will be moments when people appeal to your compassion with stories that sound familiar, struggles that mirror your past, needs that awaken old empathy. This is where silence becomes essential, not to harden your heart, but to consult wisdom before acting. Helping without discernment creates cycles instead of solutions. I had to learn that some people do not want help. They want relief without responsibility. When money becomes that relief, growth stops. Stepping back is not cruelty, it is clarity. Chosen one. Another shift happens in how you view validation. For a long time, approval mattered because it was scarce. Praise felt rare, recognition felt earned. As wealth approaches, validation increases, but it comes mixed with expectation. Compliments may carry hidden agendas. Admiration may come with access requests. Silence protects you from confusing flattery with truth. There is a dangerous belief that money will finally give weight to your voice, but your voice already carries weight. Wealth simply reveals it. If you allow money to validate your worth, you give it power it was never meant to hold. Silence helps detach identity from outcomes. It keeps you anchored when attention grows. I want to speak to the part of you that still remembers being invisible. That memory can quietly influence your choices. It can tempt you to overshare, overgive, or over-explain, simply because you once had nothing. Silence heals that part without compensation. There is peace when you no longer feel responsible for other people's reactions to your growth. Your assignment is not to manage emotions, it is to steward alignment. Chosen one. Wealth also invites simplicity. Complexity drains energy, excess drains focus. Silence naturally leads to clarity. You begin to see what is essential and what is noise. You become less interested in accumulation and more interested in stability. This is not boredom, it is wisdom maturing. I noticed that the quieter I became, the more intentional my choices were. I stopped chasing things that looked impressive but felt empty. I stopped measuring success by visibility. I started measuring it by peace. That recalibration changed everything. Wealth became a tool instead of a temptation. Anointed one, patience is embedded into this season. You may feel tempted to move quickly because you can, to solve problems instantly, to remove discomfort with spending. But not every discomfort is meant to be eliminated. Some are signals guiding you toward growth. Silence helps you listen instead of silence those signals with convenience. You cannot save everyone, and you are not meant to. Wealth will bring opportunities to intervene, to rescue, to assist. Wisdom asks a deeper question. Is this aligned with purpose or driven by obligation? Silence allows honest answers to surface. Chosen one. Your life is entering a phase where presence matters more than performance. Consistency matters more than intensity. Quiet discipline outlasts dramatic gestures. Silence supports that rhythm. It keeps you grounded when everything around you accelerates. You may notice your circle shrinking naturally, not because you are rejecting people, but because alignment filters relationships. Silence allows this to happen without force. You stop announcing boundaries. You live them. Those who belong adjust. Those who do not drift. There is strength in that simplicity. Let me say this clearly. You are not becoming cold. You are becoming clear. You are not withdrawing from love. You are protecting purpose. Silence is not a wall. It is a gate. It determines what enters and what stays out. As wealth approaches, composure will matter more than earning ability. Money flows easily to disciplined minds, but it stays longest with steady spirits. Chosen one. What is being built in your life is meant to last. It requires patience, discernment, and restraint. Silence strengthens all three. It keeps you from rushing decisions that feel urgent but lack peace. It helps you listen beyond logic. You were trained in adversity. You learned endurance, humility, and awareness. Those qualities now protect you in abundance. Silence ensures that the lessons you paid for in struggle are not lost when ease arrives. Remain grounded, remain observant, remain intentional. Let your actions speak. Let your peace speak. Let your life speak. Wealth follows alignment, not announcement. We will go deeper when you are ready. Chosen one. There is a weariness that comes not from doubt, but from holding faith quietly for a long time. It is the fatigue of consistency. The kind that shows up when you wake up and nothing looks different, yet something inside you knows everything is changing. This is the space where many lose momentum, not because they stopped believing, but because believing became ordinary. Heaven sees this endurance. It weighs it differently than excitement. Anointed one, waiting does not mean nothing is happening. Waiting is often the most active form of faith. I learned this in seasons where my prayers felt answered in theory, but delayed in form. Days blended together. Progress felt invisible, yet something kept pulling me back to the same simple posture. Show up, stay steady, remain aligned. That rhythm carried me when emotions could not. Chosen one. There are moments when the promise feels close enough to touch, yet far enough to test you. This is where faith matures, not in declarations but in repetition, not in intensity, but in return. Returning to gratitude when impatience rises, returning to restraint when urgency whispers, returning to trust when the timeline feels stretched. These returns shape endurance. I remember ordinary mornings where nothing dramatic happened, no signs, no confirmations, just the quiet decision to stay faithful, to work honestly, to keep my word, to manage what was already in my hands. Those moments felt small. Later I realized they were building capacity. Heaven does not rush foundations, it reinforces them. Anointed one, inner fatigue does not mean you are weak, it means you have been carrying weight. Long obedience in the same direction will do that. The enemy of endurance is not disbelief, it is distraction. The urge to look for new stimulation instead of staying anchored to what already sustained you. Silence protects you here. It keeps you from abandoning depth for novelty. Chosen one. There is a quiet temptation to measure progress by feeling, to assume that if passion fades, alignment has shifted. That is not always true. Sometimes passion rests so discipline can lead. I have walked seasons where faith felt flat, but obedience stayed alive. Looking back, those were the seasons that produced the most stability. Anointed one, faith under pressure often looks unremarkable. It looks like showing up when no one is watching. It looks like honoring commitments without applause. It looks like refusing shortcuts even when they are available. This kind of faith does not shout, it steadies. And steadiness is what allows promises to mature without distortion. Chosen one. I want to acknowledge something tender. There are days when you are tired of being strong, tired of carrying expectation quietly, tired of waiting with dignity. Heaven is not offended by this fatigue. It understands it. Even Scripture shows us that strength is renewed, not demanded. Renewal happens when you stop striving to feel powerful and simply remain faithful. There was a season where I stopped asking for signs and started asking for clarity. Not clarity about outcomes, but clarity about what to do today. That shift changed everything. Daily faith became enough. Small obedience became meaningful. Peace returned slowly, then stayed. Anointed One, faith is often steadied through simple, repeatable reminders, rather than constant explanation or dramatic signs. There is a quiet reference placed below, in the description or the pinned comment, that serves as a gentle anchor in moments when your strength feels thin. Chosen One, return now to stillness, return to alignment, return to the posture that carried you this far. Waiting does not cancel momentum, it refines it. The promise does not weaken with time, it strengthens as you do. Heaven is not delayed, it is deliberate. Anointed One, consistency is what keeps you prepared when the moment arrives. Not emotional highs, not bursts of certainty, consistency. Doing the right thing even when the reward is not visible. Trusting the process when the process feels slow. This is how capacity expands without breaking. Chosen One, do not despise ordinary days. They are where endurance is trained. They are where character is reinforced. They are where you learn to carry peace before you carry provision. The promise you are waiting for requires stability more than excitement. It requires depth more than speed. There is a reason you have not burned out. There is a reason you are still standing. Grace has been sustaining you quietly, even on days you did not notice it, especially on days you did not notice it. That grace will not disappear when the promise manifests. It will multiply. Anointed One, waiting has taught you discernment. It has taught you restraint. It has taught you how to listen without reacting. These are not side lessons. They are prerequisites. When the season turns, you will recognize it not by urgency, but by calm assurance. Chosen One, remain where you are. Remain faithful in small things. Remain anchored in what is steady. You are not circling the promise. You are being aligned to carry it without losing yourself. Endurance is not a detour. It is the path. This season is not asking for more effort. It is asking for continued faithfulness. And that faithfulness is being counted, measured, and honored in ways you cannot yet see. Chosen One, as endurance deepens, another refinement begins quietly beneath the surface. It is the reshaping of how you relate to time, control, and trust. Waiting stretches these areas first. You may notice a subtle impatience, not with God, but with yourself. A sense that you should be further along by now. This pressure does not come from heaven. It comes from old survival patterns that measured worth by speed. This season is undoing that measurement. Anointed One, control feels tempting when resources approach. The mind begins to calculate, to secure outcomes, to eliminate uncertainty. I felt this shift when options expanded, more choices appeared, and with them the urge to manage everything. Silence taught me restraint. It reminded me that provision does not come from micromanagement. It flows from alignment. Control promises safety, but it delivers tension. Trust releases weight. Chosen One, there is a reason rest is emphasized throughout Scripture. Rest is not inactivity, it is confidence in divine order. Silence is a form of rest. It tells your spirit that you do not need to defend, announce, or rush. The work has already been done in the unseen. I learned that the more I tried to force clarity, the less clear things became. When I paused, clarity surfaced naturally. Anointed One, wealth reshapes your relationship with time. When resources were scarce, time felt like an enemy. Delays felt threatening. Every pause felt costly. As provision approaches, time becomes an ally. Silence helps you reclaim it. You begin to think long-term instead of reacting short-term. The wealthiest in peace are not those who move fastest, but those who move wisely. Chosen one. There will be people who misunderstand your quietness. Some will interpret it as distance, others as arrogance, a few as secrecy. Let them. Understanding is not required for obedience. You are not called to manage perceptions. You are called to steward what is being entrusted to you. Silence frees you from the burden of being interpreted correctly by everyone. There is also healing happening that you may not have named yet. For years, you were unseen, your effort unnoticed, your ideas overlooked. When wealth approaches, there is a temptation to finally be visible, to matter out loud. But if visibility becomes the medicine for old wounds, money will reopen them. Silence gives those wounds time to close properly. I had to confront this truth myself. Recognition felt like oxygen for a season. Every time I chased it, peace slipped away. Stability came when I no longer needed applause. Anointed one, wealth is safest in the hands of someone who no longer needs it to feel valuable. That security is being formed now, quietly, without ceremony, without witnesses. This is how quiet authority is born, not loud power but presence that shifts environments without announcement. Chosen one. Opportunities will multiply as provision draws near. Investments, partnerships, officials. Some are aligned, many are distractions. Silence helps you discern the difference. It gives you space to sense whether something carries peace or pressure. Pressure often disguises itself as urgency. Act now. Do not miss this. This will not come again. Wisdom rarely speaks that way. Alignment feels steady. Silence trains you to recognize that steadiness. There is also the matter of legacy. Wealth is not only about what you enjoy now, it is about what you establish for later. Impulsive decisions feel satisfying in the moment, but weaken foundations. Silence invites long vision. It invites thinking beyond the present season. Structures built slowly last longer than those rushed by excitement. Anointed one, I want to speak to your tiredness again, but from a different angle. Fatigue does not always come from effort. Sometimes it comes from holding back joy, waiting for permission to relax. You do not need permission to rest in trust. This quiet season is not stagnation. It is evidence that growth is happening underground. Roots deepen before branches appear. Chosen one, your past trained you to survive noise. Your future requires mastery of stillness. The world will remain loud. Opinions will multiply. But your life does not need to be reactive. Wealth will not save you from chaos if chaos is still inside. Silence helps release it. It creates space between stimulus and response. That space is where wisdom lives. There will come a moment when you realize you no longer need to respond to everything. Not every comment deserves attention. Not every question deserves an answer. Not every invitation deserves acceptance. This realization is freedom. It is also maturity. You are not becoming distant, you are becoming intentional. Anointed one, this season is teaching you how to carry weight without strain, how to move with clarity instead of impulse, how to remain rooted while everything accelerates. What is coming will require composure, patience, discernment. Silence will continue to be your ally. Not because you fear opinions, but because you value what you carry. Chosen one, speak only when aligned, move only when clear. Let your life unfold without constant commentary. Wealth does not need your announcement. it needs your stewardship. The quieter you become, the more precise your actions will be. Precision protects longevity. Another truth surfaces as wealth approaches. Success challenges how you measure yourself. Life once demanded response and proof. Silence was not an option. In this season, silence becomes your statement. You stop trying to be understood by everyone. You realize that understanding is not alignment. Many will never understand your path because they were never meant to walk it. Anointed one, silence saves you from shrinking to fit spaces you have outgrown. It disarms attempts to pull you backward through memory or comparison. It allows your evolution to stand without defense. Authority does not announce itself. It is recognized. Chosen one. Wealth will amplify whatever pattern you live by. If your pattern is calm, clarity, and consistency, that is what will grow. If your pattern is reaction, explanation, and urgency, that will grow too. This season is refining your pattern. Choose stillness, choose depth, choose alignment. What is being built is meant to last. It requires patience, discernment, and restraint. Silence strengthens all three. It keeps you from rushing decisions that feel important but lack peace. It keeps you listening beyond logic. Remain grounded. Remain observant. Remain faithful in what is already in your hands. You are not behind. You are being prepared to carry what is coming without losing yourself. We will continue when the timing is right. Chosen one. As this season continues, a quieter strength begins to form, one that does not depend on momentum or emotion. It is the strength of discernment refined through restraint. You begin to notice that your reactions are slower, not because you are unsure, but because you are no longer rushed. This is one of the clearest signs that you are transitioning from survival to stewardship. Anointed one, wealth brings options, and options bring pressure. The pressure to decide quickly, to secure outcomes, to avoid mistakes at all costs. I remember when that pressure first surfaced in my own life. Opportunities multiplied, and with them came voices telling me what I should do next. Some meant well, others simply wanted proximity. Silence taught me how to listen past the noise and hear what carried peace. Chosen one. There is a difference between opportunity and assignment. Opportunity is loud. Assignment is quiet. Opportunity demands urgency. Assignment invites clarity. Silence helps you distinguish between the two. Without it, you risk saying yes to things that look productive, but slowly drain alignment. I learned that not everything profitable is purposeful. Not everything available is meant for me. Anointed one, this is also where discipline becomes visible. Not the discipline of effort, but the discipline of refusal. The ability to say no without guilt, to walk away without explanation, to delay decisions until clarity settles. That discipline protects you from overextension. Wealth does not break people because of money alone. It breaks them because they say yes too often without discernment. Chosen one. You may notice that your appetite for noise continues to decrease. Conversations that once felt engaging now feel draining. Environments that once energized you now feel heavy. This is not withdrawal, it is sensitivity increasing. Your spirit is learning to recognize what feeds it and what exhausts it. Silence sharpens that awareness. I remember realizing that certain rooms no longer fit me, not because I had outgrown people, but because my capacity for chaos had diminished. Staying silent in those moments was not avoidance, it was respect for the work God was doing internally. When you protect your peace, you protect your future decisions. Anointed one, another refinement is happening in how you view power. In the past, power may have looked like control or visibility. In this season, power looks like composure. The ability to remain steady when others rush, to remain calm when others react, to remain grounded when circumstances shift. This kind of power does not announce itself, it is felt. Chosen one. There will be moments when you are tempted to accelerate the process simply because you can. To fix problems instantly, to remove discomfort with resources. But not every discomfort is meant to be removed. Some are signals inviting growth. Silence helps you discern whether relief is appropriate or whether patience is required. I have seen rushed solutions create long-term problems simply because stillness was avoided. Anointed one, silence also reshapes how you listen to yourself. Old scarcity thoughts may surface as wealth approaches. Fear of loss, fear of mismanaging, fear of being misunderstood. These thoughts are not warnings, they are remnants of past seasons. Silence allows you to observe them without obeying them. It gives you space to replace reaction with wisdom. Chosen one. Another truth emerges here. You are not meant to carry everyone with you. Not everyone from your past season has capacity for your next one. This does not make them wrong, it simply makes roles different. Silence allows this separation to happen without confrontation, without explanation, without force. Those who are aligned will remain. Those who are not will drift naturally. I learned that trying to bring everyone forward creates unnecessary friction. Some people were assigned to teach you endurance, not stewardship. Others showed you loyalty when there was nothing to gain. Both roles were valuable. Neither required permanence. Silence honors those seasons without dragging them into new ones. Anointed one, wealth also tests your emotional regulation. When stakes are higher, reactions cost more. Silence becomes a safeguard. It creates space between stimulus and response. That space protects relationships, decisions, and peace. I cannot count how many situations were preserved simply because I chose not to respond immediately. Chosen one. This is also where humility deepens. Not performative humility, but grounded awareness. Awareness of your limits. Awareness of your dependence on God. Awareness that success does not make you invincible. Silence keeps you close to that awareness. It prevents arrogance from creeping in disguised as confidence. There will be moments when people expect you to explain yourself, to justify choices, to reassure them. Silence teaches you that explanation often invites entitlement. Stillness preserves authority. When you stop explaining, respect often follows naturally. Anointed one, as this refinement continues, your decisions become fewer but more precise. You speak less, but your words carry more weight. You move less, but your movement creates greater impact. This is not stagnation, it is focus. Chosen one. Wealth requires focus more than effort. It requires clarity more than speed. Silence is the environment where both grow. Without it, distractions multiply and direction blurs. With it, alignment sharpens and confidence settles. You are not being slowed down, you are being stabilized. The foundation beneath you is being reinforced so that when expansion happens, it does not fracture. Heaven is patient because heaven builds for longevity. Remain attentive to this quiet work. Remain faithful to stillness. What is forming in you now will determine how well you carry what comes next. Chosen one. As the work of refinement continues, a deeper clarity begins to emerge about identity. Not who you were, not even who you are becoming, but who you no longer need to be. Wealth has a way of exposing the roles you carried out of necessity rather than calling. Roles of over-explaining, over-giving, overcompensating. Silence allows those identities to fall away without confrontation. Anointed one. There was a version of you that learned to survive by staying agreeable, accessible, and available. That version kept peace when you had no leverage. It kept you safe when resources were thin. But that version cannot steward abundance. Silence becomes the space where you gently release survival strategies that no longer serve the future being prepared. Chosen one. I remember noticing how often I used to say yes automatically, yes to conversations that drained me, yes to obligations that were not aligned, yes to expectations I never agreed to. When provision began to increase, those yeses became costly. Silence helped me pause long enough to ask a deeper question. Is this mine to carry? That pause changed everything. Anointed one, discernment is not only about recognizing danger, it is about recognizing misalignment early. Wealth magnifies the cost of misalignment. Decisions that once had minor consequences now ripple outward. Silence reduces those ripples. It allows you to choose deliberately rather than reflexively. Chosen one. Another shift happens in how you relate to approval. When you have lived without resources, approval can feel like currency. Compliments feel validating. Being needed feels important. As wealth approaches, approval becomes more complicated. Praise may come with expectation. Appreciation may come with strings. Silence helps you separate appreciation from obligation. I had to learn that being respected felt different than being liked. Respect grows quietly. It does not demand constant availability. It does not require explanation. Silence creates the conditions for respect to form naturally. When you stop chasing approval, you stop being controlled by it. Anointed one, there will be moments when people are uncomfortable with your restraint. They may ask what changed. They may say you are different. You are, and that difference is necessary. Growth often feels like loss to those who benefited from your old boundaries. Silence keeps you from negotiating your evolution. Chosen one. Wealth also sharpens your awareness of energy. Not mystical energy, but practical human capacity. Time, attention, focus, emotional bandwidth. You begin to see how quickly these resources are drained by unnecessary engagement. Silence becomes a form of stewardship. You protect your capacity so you can invest it where it matters most. I noticed that when I spoke less, I listened better. When I listened better, I made fewer mistakes. When I made fewer mistakes, peace increased. Silence created a feedback loop of clarity. It did not isolate me, it grounded me. Anointed one, there is a quiet courage required to disappoint people without defending yourself, to let assumptions exist without correcting them, to allow misunderstanding without panic. Silence strengthens that courage. It teaches you that not every misinterpretation needs repair. Some misunderstandings resolve themselves when alignment remains consistent. Chosen one, another layer of maturity forms when you stop explaining your process. People do not need a preview of what is being built in private. As written in Scripture, even Joseph spoke too early and paid for it with misunderstanding. Timing matters. Silence honors timing. I learned that explanation often invites entitlement. The more people know, the more they feel included. Silence protects ownership. It allows what is being formed to stabilize before exposure. This is not secrecy. It is stewardship. Anointed one, wealth tests patience in a different way than lack. In lack, patience is forced. In abundance, patience is chosen. Silence is how you choose it. You slow down even when you can move faster. You wait even when options are available. That restraint preserves alignment. Chosen one. You may feel moments of loneliness in this season, not isolation, but separation. Fewer voices, fewer confirmations, fewer shared references. This is normal. As altitude changes, pressure changes. Jesus often withdrew after miracles, not to reject people, but to realign. Silence was part of his rhythm. This does not mean you are meant to walk alone. It means your circle becomes more intentional. Fewer people, deeper trust. Fewer opinions, clearer direction. Silence allows those relationships to surface naturally. Anointed one, the strength forming in you now is not dramatic, it is durable. It will not impress quickly, but it will last. This kind of strength does not collapse under pressure. It adapts, it listens, it responds wisely. Chosen one, you are learning to move without announcing, to decide without consulting crowds, to rest without guilt. These are signs of inner authority solidifying. When wealth arrives fully, it will meet a spirit that is already ordered. Remain steady, remain observant, remain faithful to the quiet work happening beneath the surface. What is forming now will shape how everything else unfolds. We will continue when the next layer is ready. Chosen one. As this final layer settles, there is a convergence happening between who you are becoming and what you are being entrusted with. It is no longer about preparation alone. It is about readiness without urgency. You are learning how to stand in expectancy without leaning forward, how to remain open without exposing what must stay protected. This posture is rare, and it is why heaven has taken its time with you. Anointed one, there comes a point where silence is no longer something you practice, it becomes something you carry. It shapes how you move, how you decide, how you respond. You no longer feel the need to react to every shift around you. You begin to trust your internal alignment more than external signals. That trust has been built slowly, deliberately, through every season you thought was delayed. Chosen one, you are now positioned where wealth will not interrupt your peace. It will meet it. That is not accidental. Many receive provision before they receive stability, and the gift becomes a burden. You have been spared that weight because restraint has already been formed within you. Silence has already taught you how to hold without gripping, how to receive without announcing, how to move without explaining. I remember the moment I realized I no longer needed confirmation from people, not because I became indifferent, but because clarity had replaced insecurity. That clarity did not come from success. It came from stillness. It came from walking through seasons where obedience was the only validation available. That clarity is now becoming your anchor. Anointed one, when wealth fully enters your life, it will not feel chaotic. It will feel ordered. It will not rush you. It will align with you. You will recognize it by the calm that accompanies it, by the absence of pressure, by the steadiness of your decisions. This is how you will know you are ready. Chosen one, there is also a release happening internally, a release from the need to explain your journey, to justify your pace, to compare your timeline. You are no longer asking if you are behind. You are aware that you are aligned. That awareness did not come from speed, it came from surrender. Anointed one, surrender does not mean passivity, it means trust. It means allowing what has been built in you to guide what flows through you. Silence protects that guidance. It keeps your spirit uncluttered. It allows discernment to remain sharp, even as options expand. Chosen one, you may notice that your prayers have changed. Less urgency, more clarity, less asking, more listening. That is not complacency, it is maturity. When faith reaches this stage, it no longer needs constant reassurance. It rests in alignment. Silence supports that rest. There will be moments when the old instinct to speak resurfaces, to share good news early, to celebrate before things are stable, to let joy spill outward quickly. That instinct is understandable, but wisdom has taught you containment before expansion. Quiet joy deepens, loud joy attracts interference. Silence preserves gratitude in its purest form. Anointed one, not every victory needs witnesses. Some are meant to be enjoyed privately between you and God. Those victories last longer. They remain untouchable. You have learned this not from theory, but from experience. Chosen one. Wealth will soon give you options that once felt impossible, choices you never imagined having. That freedom is powerful, but it must be guided. Silence slows the moment just enough for discernment to speak. It keeps you from confusing availability with alignment. You will choose not based on excitement, but on peace. Another refinement has taken place in how you communicate. You say less, but what you say carries weight. You no longer fill space with explanations. You speak when necessary, and when you do, people listen. That is authority, not volume, presence. Anointed one, your future self will thank you for the restraint you are practicing now. There will come a day when you look back and realize how close you were to oversharing, overcommitting, or overextending. And you will be grateful that you chose silence when ego wanted expression. That choice preserved more than you could see at the time. Chosen one, you are not meant to remain guarded forever, but you are meant to remain wise. Access should always be earned, not assumed. Silence teaches people how to approach you. Those who respect it will wait. Those who resent it will reveal themselves. Either way, clarity emerges. This journey has never been about becoming unreachable. It has been about becoming unshakable. Silence strengthened your inner stability. It rooted you while circumstances shifted. It protected your peace while opinions multiplied. It preserved your focus while distractions increased. Anointed one, remember this as wealth arrives. Money is a servant, not a master. Silence helps you keep that order intact. The moment money dictates your reactions, your speech, or your worth, it has taken a position it does not deserve. Silence keeps you in command. Chosen one, you have been called to carry abundance without losing yourself, to move through increase without abandoning humility, to enjoy provision without becoming enslaved by it. That balance is rare. It is sustained through awareness, discipline, and restraint, all of which have been formed quietly within you. Your life has transitioned from survival to stewardship. That transition required a different kind of strength. Not the strength to push, but the strength to pause. Not the strength to fight, but the strength to observe. Silence cultivated that strength. There will always be parts of your story that remain untold. Let that be enough. Mystery is not deception. It is discretion. Your life does not need to be fully explained to be fully lived. Chosen one, you were prepared in private so you could be trusted in public. Silence was your training ground. It taught you patience when you wanted speed, humility when you wanted recognition, and wisdom when you wanted validation. None of that was wasted. Wealth is approaching your life not as chaos, but as confirmation. Confirmation that the quiet seasons mattered. Confirmation that restraint was not in vain. Confirmation that what was built slowly will stand firmly. Remain centered, remain discerning, remain grounded. Let your peace be louder than your announcements. Let your stability speak before your success does. Silence carried you here. and silence will help you remain here, steady, clear, and protected. Chosen one. As this message comes to a close, let it settle where it was meant to land. You were prepared in private, so you could be trusted in public. Silence was not absence, it was training. It taught you patience when you wanted speed, humility when you wanted recognition, and wisdom when you wanted validation. What is approaching in your life is not chaos, it is confirmation. Confirmation that the quiet seasons mattered and that what was built slowly will stand firmly. Anointed one, a supernatural transfer is already in motion, and you are standing in your exact kairos moment, the divinely appointed time aligned for your elevation. You are not late, you are not behind, you are aligned. When wealth arrives fully, you will recognize it not by noise, but by calm, not by urgency, but by assurance, not by applause, but by peace. Chosen one, remain faithful in the quiet. Stay aligned with the flow of the anointing. Let gratitude lead your steps even before manifestation appears. What heaven is building in your life does not require announcement. It requires stewardship, and you have been trusted because you are ready to carry what others would mishandle. Anointed one, if this word resonated with your spirit, stay connected in alignment, not obligation. And if you feel led, let your agreement be known in the way that feels natural to you. There is also a quiet reminder prepared below in the pinned comment and the description, meant to steady the heart in moments when strength needs simplicity. Chosen one, I bless your hands to manage increase with wisdom, your mind with clarity and restraint, and your spirit with peace that cannot be shaken. What is yours will come protected, multiplied, and sustained. Go forward and carry your blessing well. Your season has begun.